Warning, this game is heavy on exposition. Get ready for several cutscenes and less talking on my part. But as always, thanks for watching.
Holmes! Holmes, will you stop that? You are utterly mad. Stop, Holmes!
Is that you, Watson?
Yes, of course it is. And you almost killed me.
Nonsense. I was aiming for the vases.
Blindfolded?
Watson, quiet please. I'm trying to concentrate. Ah, Lestrade. What is it this time?
He can see me. Well, here it is, and it's a good one, Mr. Holmes. A gentleman by the name of Peter Carey, also known as Black Peter, has been murdered.
A sailor, most probably.
What happened here?
Oh, Mr. Holmes, how could you?
It's the only exercise I've had all week. A grateful client from Limoges sent me a vase collection this morning. I couldn't think of a better use for it.
You're out of your mind.
I missed 4 out of 10.
Given you were blindfolded, that was very good. Can I have a try?
Am I the only sane one here?
I suppose that Watson is right, Inspector. A little brain work would be preferable now. Do please tell us more about Black Peter.
Peter Carey, born in 1845 and 50 years old. An ambitious sort, he achieved much success in seal and whale hunting around Scandinavia. Retired in 1884 with a small fortune. He invested his money in a property called Woodman's Lee, near Forest Row in Sussex. It was where he lived for 6 years, and where he was found dead yesterday.
Has the investigation already begun?
Yes and no. In fact, this crime is so mysterious that I would prefer you to join me down there.
Give me half an hour to prepare, Inspector.
Take your time and join me there. I have to go through the yard first. The merry men struck again.
What have they done this time?
They robbed a powder reserve. I'll meet you at Woodman's Lee, Mr. Holmes.
I should help Mrs. Hudson here. I also have several appointments that I must keep this afternoon.
I shall go alone, then.
Yes, you shall. So welcome to Crimes and Punishments, Sherlock Holmes. This is a genuine mystery. It's not that New York Mysteries game that I kind of liked, kind of didn't like. Don't know if you guys liked it because nobody's watched it yet, but hey, I'm
I
not
cannot
expecting
leave
many
yet.
people to.
I am not finished here.
So yeah, we gotta get dressed so we can get this case on the road, this show on the road. Sherlock Holmes has a messy room, doesn't make his bed. They say geniuses actually are very unorganized. I don't know how true that is. That one looks good.
Oh, what a mess! What a terrible mess!
Sorry, Miss Hudson.
A map of London and the surrounding area. It could be useful.
So off to our first location, Woodman's Lee.
Mr. Holmes, I'm over here. Come on.
And in case you can't figure it out, I am, in fact, recording my commentary after my playthrough, mostly because I was lazy and...
It seems that the garden was well maintained.
Well, this series is going to take a lot of editing to cut out all the loading screens.
It seems that the garden was well maintained.
Okay, so I guess we're gonna check her out.
Inspector Lestrade, when will you remove my husband's body? It's sacrilegious to leave him here like this.
As soon as we can, Mrs. Carey, I assure you. Allow me to introduce you to Mr. Sherlock Holmes. He's a detective. No doubt you've heard of him. I'll wait for you in front of the cabin, Mr. Holmes.
My condolences, Mrs. Carey.
Thank you, Mr. Holmes.
Madam, can you tell me if you saw or heard anything unusual upon the night of the murder?
At 2 o'clock in the morning, I heard a terrible scream. But I thought nothing of it then. He would scream all the time when he was drunk.
Can you please tell me what occurred on the evening of the murder?
Well, Peter got drunk in the evening. He was in such a terrible temper. Usually whenever that happened, he'd stay all night drinking in his cabin before passing out.
Do you remember at what time you found your husband's body?
In the morning, at around 7 o'clock, I noticed the cabin door was open, but I didn't go in to take a look, for I knew my husband would not have liked it. At around 10 o'clock, I dared to glance in through the door and, oh dear.
Was your husband accustomed to receiving visitors?
Oh no, I don't think so. I mean, he didn't really have many friends. We lived quite an isolated life here, after his retirement.
The garden is very large and well maintained. Do you employ someone to look after it?
It is true, there is a lot of work, but my husband took care of it himself.
I still don't know what that is. Besides like a locket of some sort. I know what a rosary is, but I'm not Catholic myself, so that is a feat for me. Basically, we're just profiling her, I suppose.
You have indeed suffered a great loss, Mrs. Carey. Nevertheless, I believe it will be less of a burden for you soon.
Yes, life with Peter was never easy, but he was still my husband.
He was different, wasn't he, when you first met him upon your return from Plymouth?
Yes, Mr. Holmes. Oh my goodness, but how do you know about that?
You undertook a pilgrimage to the Cathedral of Santiago de Compostela when you were young. That much is evident from the rosary in your hand. The shortest route for the pilgrim from England to Spain is from Plymouth. I believe that you met Peter Carey as a young sailor there, and you married him soon afterwards.
That is indeed what happened, Mr. Holmes. How extraordinary.
Thank you, madam.
I still think it's funny how, like, even though everyone's heard of Sherlock Holmes, he still stuns them every time with that number. Alright, so we're looking around for a clue here, because we got the pop-up. And it's those footsteps I noticed earlier. But I didn't know the button.
These footprints appear to be quite large.
Again, if you've not read the books, like, a lot of this is just classic Holmes. You'll know what to do just by reading the books. The footprints, it's something he does all the time.
Peter Carey's body is inside the cabin. We took care not to touch anything.
But the whole profiling thing, that's very standard for Holmes.
The door is locked.
Wait just a moment, Mr. Holmes, and I'll open it. I locked it yesterday to ensure that no one should enter the cabin and tamper with the evidence.
Ah, good thinking.
Yes.
Hello.
What is it, Lestrade?
It seems to me that someone has tried to force it, Mr. Holmes.
Let me see.
But that's going to have to wait till next time because this video's done.